Colm Feore, star of stage and screen on both sides of the parallel. Frequent flyer, Stratford resident, national treasure. And until recently off in Hungary. A show that's basically not entirely inaccurately been described as kind of a 15th century Sopranos.
Well, there's a lot about power in the story of what appears to be a crime family. I mean, for Neil Jordan, it's essentially power and how that corrupts and how people, when they get to positions of such enormous influence and power, lose either themselves or find themselves correspondingly. So that complexity is what really interests him.
Yeah. And then, of course, your character has this wonderful Godfather moment in the second episode. Sort of the equivalent of the horse's head in the bed.
And keep in mind, this came first.
Yes, exactly.
I think they stole it from us.
Yeah. Basically, it's kind of a whole... No, let's not go there. People will see it. They'll love it.
They'll see it. They'll get it.
Now, talk about this guy. He's basically Borgias' nemesis. The yin to his yang, perhaps?
Well, Cardinal de la Rovere is, the real guy who becomes, in the end, Julius II. He's the warrior pope, il Papa Terribile. So he had an enormous influence, and he created, in terms of the Renaissance and the papacy, he did a lot of interesting things, and not least among them was try and wipe out the experience of the Borgia papacy, because he really did not like him. He felt that he was absolutely the wrong person for the job, that he could do certain jobs within the Vatican. In fact, there's a wonderful scene where I say, I like what you do. Not many people can do that kind of icky, horrible stuff that you can do, and we need somebody to do the horrible stuff. So maybe you'd like a job, and you could have a job in my papacy if you were willing to stick around and keep doing that ugly stuff. Because me and God, we have a special relationship. You clearly, I don't know.
But it's a wonderful scene. I mean, just the way it's staged, and you two. I mean, working with irons. I mean, you two just must have.
Well, I'm very, very fortunate to have Jeremy there to just, toss it up and see what he's going to hammer back at me. But almost more importantly is Jordan's writing, and on that particular episode, in that particular scene, Neil's direction, because he gave me one of the probably the finest directions I've ever had, and it's this is what I want. Because I was saying, listen, this is so complicated, this scene, the way the two of them get along, what are we really saying behind and underneath the lines? There's a lot of stuff, I don't want to miss anything. How, what should it be? And he thought for a moment, and he said, well, it just should be devastatingly simple. I said, well, that's great.
This is not a thing to say to a guy like you because you're so meticulous.
Well, but it was a perfect direction because it was so clear.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of the away from him.
Sure.
This is just two guys talking.
Yeah.
Two guys talking about something they both understand. They've agreed to play by certain rules.
Yeah.
There's a lot left unsaid.
Yeah.
But we know each other, right? And because we know each other, one of us has to go.
Yeah. And how great to have the writer directing, particularly this writer-director directing.
Well, sometimes this would come funny. I'd have a scene, and I'd be walking down a line of cardinals saying, now you guys all understand what I want, and the shot, I'd finished talking, and the shot continued until I opened the door.
Yeah.
And Neil would be on the other side of the door going, you need more lines there, don't you? I said, well, I didn't write this shit. This is up to you. And then he'd stop and he'd do one of these, you could say something about the twist of the papacy over the last enclave and say that. I said, did you just come up with that? It's like just right now when you said this should be longer? And that stuff just came out? Yeah, that's it. I said, let me get a pen. Let me write this down. What did you say again? And of course, it would be brilliant, and it would be just the length of time I needed to get to open the door, and it made it clearer and sharper and to the point. So, yeah, we've been in very, very good hands.
Yeah. And just beautiful, beautiful production. I mean, you wouldn't know it's Hungary. I mean, it's interesting. You go to Rome now, and we did the Vatican tour, one of the last visits we went, and I mean, the Borgias stamp is still all over that place. All the passageways and...
Absolutely. Some of the apartments and stuff. Well, we had extraordinary production design, and the costumes were extraordinary. They were very cognizant of always wanting to be faithful to some of the pictures that we knew would be in people's consciousness if they were Renaissance buffs, if you will, but also just to be accurate, just to be correct. And so, we dialed up the lush, full, rich, they spend some money. Even if there are scenes where they say, God, this is costing us a lot of money. They're whining and complaining about, listen, I don't think we can get Michelangelo to do those portraits. Maybe, is Da Vinci out of work? Has he got some free time? No, Tintoretto. Oh, okay. Let's get him, because I hear he's a little cheaper. He's not as established as, Lol. Maybe we can get 8 portraits for the price of 5.
No, it was your Pope, the Pope the guy
Julius II.
who commissioned
Yes,
Michelangelo. And from what I gather, he was actually just supposed to do a couple of coats of egg white,
Well, I had
he got carried away.
He got a little carried away, and he had all these drawings. Well, you're really messing this up. Overcomplicated. This is going to be expensive. It's going to take a long time. I might be dead before you're done. But go ahead.
There's that great Python sketch about, well, what do you think? Well, I could use a few less elephants.
Yeah, and this, I like this bit. The hand that was nice. But after that.
So this is a lot of fun for you to immerse yourself in a period like this.
Well, yeah, especially because it's so complete. With the Budapest set was very thorough and very complete. It doubled a lot of times. We could switch around, so we didn't have to go too far afield. We used what we could of Budapest locally. I mean, one of the scenes in a Turkish bath, we actually just hung flame. We hung a flambeau on the wall, and it was perfect for the period. I said, you mean nothing's changed here in how many hundreds of years?
Yeah.
And this works. So we were very, very fortunate that so much of that was extant, and also that the Hungarian crew and production team were so very skilled. I mean, they know exactly what they're doing. They're very experienced. So we had a very good home there.
Yeah. And as you say, I mean, it resonates. I mean, not a lot has changed about humanity since then. There's perhaps a little more subtle.
Well, we don't evolve, as human beings. We grow, we develop, we die, and we forget, and we keep forgetting. And it's the forgetting that's the problem. If we could build on our generation's past experience, perhaps we'd be somehow more sophisticated, evolutionarily speaking, than we are. But we don't, so we keep going back to the best of our examples of our humanity to say, what went right? And what went wrong? And the Renaissance being a period where they said, listen, let's go back to what was really right. Let's be classicists about this. This is what Machiavelli's point was. Let's go back to the Greeks and the ancient Romans. They had it right. This was the ideal. This is what we want. Let's rediscover this. Let's have a rebirth for these ideas and stick to that, and we will be better people. Obviously, we'll have to murder, rape, and pillage, and poison, and do some other things in order to keep the civilization going.
Small price to pay, I think.
We might say that.
Yeah, you're right.
We might say that looking back, and I think this is, it doesn't hurt for our audience to be able to go, oh, I studied that. I know that. Make us all feel a little smarter, and then say, well, things are tough all over. It's been corrupt since time immemorial. It's up to us to make a better world.
It's just such a fascinating period in history, and I mean, I got to tell you, of this whole TV tour, this has been my favorite show.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And the buzz is really good.
A lot of people worked very, very hard and gave us an enormous amount of thought and worked very long hours intensely to make this happen. And we're so gratified that people are enjoying it.
Yeah, no, the critics seem to love it, and hopefully it'll continue on for enough years that you could actually become Pope.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it probably dies when Jeremy and Neil decide they don't want to do it anymore. But I'm happy to go along for the ride for as long as they want to do it.
Yeah, it could be the sequel.
The spin-off.
Yeah, Borgias 2, the next generation.
My own place. Finally, I can fix the ceiling.
Colm, thank you so much for that.
Pleasure.